All right, and we're back. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Strategic Feminine here on YouTube Live. And of course, we always focus on all things feminine, all things girly, all things womanly in essence. And I was trying to do this all easy breezy, beautiful cover girl, but y'all know I had to bring out the StreamYard for this, just so I was doing this topic justice, because I do want to keep this up on my channel because I'm sorry, and this is why I really can't stand being on YouTube as a content creator no more because I can't even just watch regular content. I really do, especially with this scenario in specific. Like the Travis Kelce commentary, specifically coming from black women, have been all off kilter, in my opinion. And I just want to go ahead and bring it on home. Okay. Because I don't agree with any of the things that I've seen such far. Like, I don't agree with any of it. And might as well go ahead and talk about why Travis Kelce will marry Taylor Swift against some of y'all's predictions and not Kayla. Why he chose to actually pursue Taylor in a way that he did not do with his previous girlfriend. Is that to any fault of Kayla's? No, but we're going to talk about why the circumstances are how they are, and you can just do whatever you want from this commentary. Like, I think I like this is definitely going to be one of those hypergamy case studies. And one thing that I wanted to go ahead and get said before, like, I make this video is that for all intents and purposes, I do believe that for young women or women, period, you don't have to be young thinking that you are going to be able to get into the hypergamy game. Okay, understand that this is not a group effort. Okay, it is not everybody get, in the bag and we all go together. This is a lone wolf type of sport. Hunting rich men and taking them down and organizing and choreographing these huge public relationships. That takes a skill that the average person doesn't necessarily understand because it does not apply to average relationships, which is okay. But as someone who does like to study the higher society, I love to study the money. I'm a finance girly till I die, a finance geek till I die. There are certain things that people who swear up and down, they be around all the people with all the money, right? Like, there are certain things that they miss in the commentary that makes me question a lot of the like validity of what they're saying, because I'm not speaking from anyone who has experienced let's say who's experienced such a high volume scenario personally, being as I'm a normal human, but as somebody who sees how many girls get tore up in the machine of fame, fortune, and beyond, you know, this scenario with Travis Kelce really does show that same man, different outcome does exist. Okay. And people need to stop coming online projecting, okay? Because everybody don't treat everybody like how them dudes treat you. And I'm saying that because it's true. When you can step out of your paradigm and also speak from that perspective, that is where you want to be as an adult. Because speaking consistently from your perspective and trying to apply it sometimes can lead things to be mismatched, especially with this particular situation. So I'm gonna get into it. I'm being long winded to say this, that you may feel like you don't want to study the actions and behaviors of the higher society. You may feel like you don't want to put forth the effort to assimilate to the higher society. You may feel like this content, hypergamy content here, is not your ball game, okay? But what I will 100% always stand 10 toes 10 on. Hold up, can y'all hear me? Let me make sure, because I know I always got to do a mic check because I'll be coming in hot and I never do a mic check. Okay, audio's all good. We're all good. Okay, perfect. Yeah, you may feel like you are not equipped and you do not have any desire to idealize or understand anything about the higher society. That doesn't mean they're still not making moves and doing what it is that higher society folk do. Okay? So we're going to understand that. We're also going to pin apart some of the different hierarchical things that come across in career and how, yes, same man, different outcome is 100% a real thing that women need to be a little bit more honest about because you have it to where women are convinced once a dog, always a dog. Um, and there's an old saying, you can't teach an old dog no new tricks, which is only halfway true. I wholeheartedly believe that a man knows who and where he can do that at. And part of a lot of the detractors from the hypergamy content, okay? A lot of what their talk is date on your own level. You gotta date on your own level. You gotta qualify for a man. Like this is some type of student loan subsidy, okay? They make it seem as though like qualifying for these earthly beings is somewhat of a numbers perpetual game, when really there are just people who put themselves out there and it just works out that way. So we're gonna talk about that in a second. The number one thing that people talk about with the hypergamy content in specific and why it won't work for you, black women, specifically my camp, my sector, is because of the racial and then class aspect. So they would be right to assume and to say that rich people mostly date within the rich class, affluent people stay within the affluent class, they, mingle in the affluent class. The likes of somebody, coming along and getting plucked, and then being treated so well and never discarded or disrespected under the thumb of someone who has all of the unlimited capital resources, that seems to be far fetched to some. And the reason why it is far fetched to, and why I say that hypergamy is a lone wolf game, is because you're never going to get a whole bunch of women to agree to put down their comforts for their triumphs. I feel like that's self explanatory, but I'll go further into it. But I don't want to just keep, going on little tizzies. Kayla Nicole is one of those, and she's a college graduate. So again, this is not nothing to scoff at. She's a celebrity. She's a college graduate. She has a degree in journalism. So she went to school for something. She's very educated about the media. So Kayla Nicole is not by any means, bottom of the barrel, a Keisha or anything like that. Okay, so before people start coming on here trying to do too much. Let's keep it within the bounds of who these people actually are. Travis Kelce, at the time of him getting with Kayla Brown or taking her serious, in his career, he's a low level athlete for the NFL, one of the newer rookies. So he has rookie contracts. He's just coming in. He's fitting in with the smaller guys here. Okay. And people don't understand that all the time, how work hierarchy really does affect men, um, to a way that people don't always think about. So at the time of his career, right, he qualified 100% for a Kayla Brown. She fit where he was going to go. Look at him, Kids' Choice Awards. She's a pretty girl. She definitely belongs in front of somebody's red carpet Kids' Choice Awards, blah, blah, blah. So at the time, Travis Kelce got a woman on the level that he needed to go ahead and associate and mingle within his career field. He got a baddie. Everybody at the low level athlete field, they get baddies. But here's what is the truth. Because a money minded man may look like a trick from the outside looking in. They look the same. They like nice things, they get nice jewelry, they like to enjoy nice meals in really expensive places. You know what I'm saying? You would think that a trick and a money minded man are the same because they look the same, but there's a mentality that separates these people, and Travis Kelce is the right one. Okay. Now, again, I was not all the way in Kayla Brown, her relationship. What I do recall being said was that there was talks of 50-50 with Travis Kelce. There was talks of, and then when I looked that up on Google, AI came and said, well, that's not true. They both came out and said it wasn't finances. He didn't mind giving her $100 there, $100 there, right? Which even then, as a contracted NFL athlete, that's a weird sentence to say. $100 here, $100 there. Now, I should mind my business, people not handing me $100. But again, I stop and think, no, this man is signing multi-million dollar contracts. $100 here, $100 there is not what I want to hear from men who are supposedly generous. And this is why there's a difference between a trick and a money-minded, smart individual, right? The low-level athlete that Travis Kelce was, in the league with, NFL, he was basically able to skip all those little traps that they fall into. He hasn't been called out for doing any, drugs, no hardcore partying, no freak offs. You really didn't got nothing on him. Okay, he hasn't made a whole lot of bad press for himself in the years that he's been out. So at the time of Travis Kelce being with Kayla, it wasn't obvious that he was generous. He was definitely generous within bounds, which is fair. What I mean to say, just to get to the point, is he's not a crash dummy, okay? He's not like every other athlete who tricks off on random baddies, got six girls, paying for two apartment down in NF and Florida or wherever. He's not on the mindset of a guy who's just gonna lose his money to the game. And people don't understand that. Like people don't get that. That some people do come into money and they blow it. They don't care nothing about it. They have no regard for themselves or their money. And then you got people who be on the money moves. And Travis Kelce, him marrying Taylor is 100% a level up money move strategy. I don't care what no one's saying. So the reason why he's not going to do Taylor the way that he did Kayla, and the way of him having a preference for darker chocolate women, and this is where I can see where sometimes I feel like y'all get beyond the point. Okay, with the skin color topic. Kayla Brown doesn't win because Travis Kelce may have a preference for darker skinned women in the sense that, Taylor Swift will forever be insecure and left in the shadows. That's not going to happen. We'll talk about that more later, but I want to make sure we talk about his past so when we speak about his future, it makes sense, okay? So Travis Kelce was in the league with these low-level athletes who rarely make it off the ground. A lot of these guys are in and out. They get these rookie contracts, and it's time to now see who got the work ethic, who can stick it out, who falls to these drugs, who falls to these women, who falls to these setups, who falls to all of the pitfalls that the industry tries to throw at you. And at the end of it, probably about 5 years later, or just about, he hasn't been caught up in anything too major to stop him from leveling up in this season. And not just leveling up, because leveling up just sounds super like, ugh, you know? Career advancement is afoot. And I see that moving on into his future, the reason why Travis Kelce will be 100% marrying Taylor Swift, and there's not a F thing that none of the YouTube commentators can do about it, is because the purchasing power of a couple like Taylor Swift is far exceeds what an average young couple their age is or even should be doing at that time. Okay? So I explained his beginning. Let's talk about going into it. In his previous relationship, he was already speaking about how he was doing 50-50. She won't get him tricked off. He won't just paying for stuff out the way. Things had to make sense for Kayla. And again, Kayla, smart girl, went to college, pretty, real pretty, red carpet type, Victoria's Secret type. She doesn't have the same leverage as Taylor Swift monetarily, and men that make money minded moves are rarely concerned with the fickle attraction that they hold for an individual. I know that's hard to believe because, again, what a lot of people are trying to push off with this, pretty privileged femininity content, level up hypergamy sector, the unpopular part about it is that everybody thinks that by getting cute, that's all you need. And for the average low level trick or a guy who just spends his money, irresponsibly, that may be true. But for a money-minded legacy building man, he not falling in those pitfalls. And as you can see, he did not. He didn't run around with a whole bunch of baby mamas. He's not paying no $50,000 in child support or nothing crazy. He didn't fall in any of the pitfalls that some of the other athletes within his class had done, keeping his money in a pretty much stable environment, even though he's making above average income. So again, you have to think of the mentality of a man that is so disciplined that even though he has it to burn, he still won't do it. That's discipline. That doesn't just happen off of sheer da da da. That's somebody speaking to a financial advisor, listening to the financial advisor, having a plan, and not caring even if he has a girlfriend, don't got a girlfriend, da da da. If it's not meeting the bottom line, it's not happening. And unfortunately, Kayla didn't add up to his bottom line. Kayla and Travis Kelce as a couple, let's go ahead and pull up the calculations, shall we? I don't mind on today's day pulling up the net worths. And again, net worths are nothing more than accumulation of all your purchases, all your many assets, and then a minus of maybe like with your monthly output could be, right? So net worths are not in any way a reflection of what someone may or may not have in their bank account. I want that to be extremely clear because people will say anything. People do anything, y'all. People don't know. I understand. But yeah, no, someone's net worth is basically like, let's say if they have a few cars, a few houses, a few assets here, a few assets there, all of that will be added up, divided by a common number, and then subtracted from that person's output. That will be their net worth. Now, if you are somebody who saves, you keep every penny, you may got more money in your net worth. Cat Williams said, I looked at my net worth and I had that on me. And I know that type of feeling. So, yeah, net worth is not specifically a reflection of what somebody has in their pocket, the liquid cash they have access to. It just means their average accumulation of all of their goods and services they got over time. But I'm pulling up her net worth now because the control here is Travis. Travis is the same man. He didn't change. He's the same dude. Okay. So it's good to do this as a case study because usually, we're kind of putting up two different couples against each other, and that's not typically fair because two different couples, two different ball games. But this is good because he's the same man. The only thing that's changing is the women making it that he has a good control. So she has an estimated net worth of about $2 million. Nothing to sneeze at in anything. She probably got just about that. No, that's not the same thing. Yeah, she got just about $200. I mean, not 200. She got about $2 million in Kayla Brown's net worth. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and fix this up in the morning. But what is Taylor Swift's net worth? We already know it's far exceeds what Kayla Brown is doing, but I want to see by how much. $1.6 billion. Oh, this changes everything. Oh my gosh. What do you mean? You think that Travis Kelce is not going to marry into $1.6 billion? Are you kidding me? Are you guys serious? Let me speak about the commentary that I've been hearing. The commentary that I was hearing was, na 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 boo boo. Travis Kelce, he prefers darker women. He has Taylor Swift crashing out because, she's so worried about skin color. White women can't stand not being jealous of us darker, beautiful, black, dark women. Yeah, I understand it. Look, hey, I get it. Everybody loves to do a petty tit for tat on YouTube, but y'all got to think a little bit deeper than this, okay? Travis Kelce has the opportunity to marry into $1.6 billion. You think he's not going to do it? It doesn't matter who, what, where he prefers. I don't care if Travis Kelce, every day that he is married to Taylor Swift, has a man cave or a num num folder full of all his baddest, brownest women. That's not going to stop the fact that he not letting go of a woman worth $1.6 billion, not specifically because of the money, because that's what bums do, but because of the opportunity itself, the purchasing power that Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift have far exceed the purchasing power of Kayla and Travis. So Kayla and Travis is like typical lowbrow celebrity, okay? They probably don't have no problem getting no loans, no house in the hills, but as far as affluent, no, they're probably going to be working them as a couple, their trajectory was to be working in the industry for a very long time, okay? Now let's move on to Travis Kelce's future. Taylor Swift, because I said in my last, the reason I'm making a video about this is because I did make a video about the Breezy Bowl situation with Kayla Smith or Kayla Brown. And I was talking about, why Chris Brown and Kayla kind of had mutual needs to why they wanted to do this PR stunt. Okay. Why Kayla was dancing on him was kind of like a bird move, in my opinion. And why I felt like Kayla doesn't have any eligible suitors that are meeting Travis Kelce. Now, I just looked up the two girls' net worth. Let's go ahead and pull up Travis Kelce's net worth for reference as well, because I love this for us. I love this for us. So women believe that because Kayla Brown, represents the preference for darker women that Travis has, that that's going to erase his innate choices to take Taylor Swift seriously, and that's just not going to happen. I've also seen some other women predict that Travis Kelce is going to do Taylor Swift all the way bad, all the way bad because he's just a bad guy and he's a dirty dog and they can see into the future and they just know that this is not going to end well for Taylor. She's going to be ended up looking stupid. And I honestly, I really don't see that just due to what's on the line here. Now, we knew Taylor Swift made money. As far as the industry, she's probably one of the best and most paid artists in the industry. She probably has the most pull out of majority of the artists in the industry. Taylor Swift absolutely does. So, mm, it's crazy. You could just pull out how much people is making these days, and it'll have the whole breakdown where what deposit is coming from. It's crazy. So yeah. Travis Kelce's net worth was estimated at a $52 million last September. Okay, September 2024. In his NFL contract of April 2024, the Kansas City Chiefs wanted to pay him $34.25 million, making him the highest paid tight end in the NFL at all time. So this man makes money, hand over fist, right? Kelsey has lucrative endorsements and major deals with Nike, Pfizer, State Farm. Okay, these are not little bitty companies. This is not somebody's, lash boutique across the street. These are real legacy businesses that put their dollar behind Travis Kelce. Okay. He and his brother signed a 3-year deal with Amazon's Wondery for a podcast over the year, at least 105 million, and he has other ventures like a barbecue line and a car wash and stuff like that. So this man gets to the money, this man gets to the bag. He's a money-minded man. And again, he has to be smart because he was able to negotiate you being the highest paid tight end ever. He's getting paid a lot of money to do what he do. Okay? And usually your superiors do not grant like these exceptional raises to people or exceptional balances accounts. What am I trying to say? Exceptional offers. Usually, superiors give offers to people that they trust, that they are willing to move into management at some point, people who make good impressions, men like Travis Kelce. So I brought all of that to this. So Kayla Nicole and Travis Kelce, um, let's say altogether they're worth 40, mm, about $56 million altogether. Let's be generous, right? Together, Travis Kelce and Kayla Nicole are worth $56 million, just about. And majority of that money is coming from him, okay? Because if he's the breadwinner, which is nothing wrong with, but I'm saying understand the dynamic. Now, again, Travis Kelce, then the same man has access to a woman who makes $1.6 billion, 1.6, making their estimated net worth. And I'm not going to try to do this. I'm gonna just go ahead and let Google do it for me because we got things to do. Because I just feel like some people just don't know that men know how to act accordingly with women who know how to leverage things. And we'll talk about that more, but I'm gonna try to keep this down to under 30 minutes or so. So altogether, they would be worth $1,652,000,000. Oh, 1 billion. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Okay. Whew. Sorry, y'all, it's early. But I'm still trying to get this content out for y'all because I need y'all to be on game about certain things. Kayla Brown and Travis Kelce would have been worth about $46 million, and he would have been the breadwinner. He would be putting up majority of the couple's net worth, like more than 90% of it. Okay, different circumstance with Taylor Swift here. See, with Taylor Swift, he's not the breadwinner. He's making less money than her, allegedly. And again, the purchasing power of a Taylor Swift and a Travis Kelce getting together is well within the 1 billions. Okay. And I'm gonna tell y'all what a lot, and I've been avoiding this part too because people don't want to hear about this. A lot of this also goes into a little bit of white privilege as well, and why Travis Kelce gave up his wigger persona and his hood adjacentness basically to go back in with his white privilege, and why it's always something that white men are able to tap in and out of no matter what they prefer, who they be around. If they grew up in the hood with Binky in them, it's not going to change the fact that he has the opportunity, and the key word within this entire live stream will be opportunity. He has more opportunities with Taylor Swift than he would ever have with Kayla Brown, and he would still be a celebrity. No matter what, they're still celebrity couples, no matter which woman he's with, but the purchasing power, the opportunity reach that he gets with a woman like Taylor Swift on his arm far exceeds what he can get done when he walks in with Kayla Brown, and he knows it. And white privilege has a lot to do with it as well. Okay. There's another thing I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the NFL hierarchy here because I said that he was a low level athlete at the time of him getting with Kayla, and why it made sense. He was dating on the level that he needed at the time. Okay, this is the organizational chart for the NFL. Okay, you have the owners. These are the people at the tippy top. Now, when we talk about hypergamy, you got to know what this looks like. Let me go ahead and pull this up. Let me go ahead and pull this all the way up because I need y'all to understand something. Because a lot of people they just don't like the content. Hold up, I think it's doing a little skippy skip. Hello, hello, can y'all hear me? Hear me roar. I'm sorry, I didn't have to bust out into. I didn't have to do. I just want to make sure y'all can hear me and it's not skipping. Okay, it's fine. Okay, a lot of people they just don't like the hypergamy content. And instead of just saying that and saying I really don't have any desire to really do what it is that you're aspiring to do, so it doesn't align with me, they're going to try to make up 110 arguments why you don't deserve to be in hypergamy. You don't need to learn about it. It's nothing that concerns you, you peasant, you poor blah 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 lower caste girl. You don't need to know nothing about this. Unfortunately for y'all, I actually do really do be in the finance bros just like that. I be in the finance bro district, okay? What that means is I learn from these money-minded men a lot of their game on their own individual industry. And there's not one industry I'm too good for. Let me just tell y'all that. So yes, I can name the jobs that make over six figures. I can name more than 10 if we need to get in there. Because, some people are like, oh, you don't need to, y'all regular girls. Why y'all want to know where all the ball is at? Because they're trying to disencourage young single women from making the best choice for them and their family possible. Meanwhile, they understand why the other girls go and do it. So they tell the other girls all the time, yeah, go get a rich man. You pretty, just like that. But then when they come over here with the black girls, because I feel like I don't want to get too much in race, but I do feel like they only do that with the black girls. When white girls be saying, oh, I'm about to go date a prince, everybody understands that no one says no. Okay, but when it comes to black girls saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna go get me a prince," y'all get to talking out, "Ain't no prince gonna want you. Them people don't even." Da, da, da. And then you get the black community fodder that you see when people give their ideas on this hypergamy content. Yes, I do know the jobs of people who make over 100,000 K. I can name more than five. I can name more than 10. I'm promising you, some of them are in your area, in your. You have regular recruits in any branch of service who can easily touch hundreds of thousands of dollars, but y'all don't know that because y'all don't be out and about moving where the movers be. But I don't want to get too much into that. I'm not going to always give y'all all my sauce. But what I will say is this is not coming from somebody who hasn't looked very deeply into what I'm talking about. Now, I will say that this is more of an aspiration for me rather than a fact. I will say it's aspirational. But again, fact is fact. Okay, we don't do no fiction over here. So back to NFL owners. There is a hierarchy within the NFL that have the athletes at the bottom. So to us as celebrities, the athletes are the top level of, riches and blah, blah, blah. If a woman meets an NFL player, she's probably going to try to get him pregnant, knock him up, do all types of stuff. Women like Brittany Renner, that's how she was able to get a lot of her money. And a lot of women have a career out of getting vulnerable, dumb, financially illiterate men in the industry, specifically athletes, NFL, the NBA. A lot of women have been career gold diggers. And again, a lot of it wasn't black women. Again, they love to say, but a lot of black women wasn't out there robbing men of 2.5, $3.6 million. That won't us black women. Okay, that wasn't something that we was all doing. We know who was doing it. So again, when people try to act like, hypergamy is something that black women should never think about because they don't deserve to be there, we not gonna get there today, but a lot of it do be full of crap. A lot of it be people trying to tell you what you can't do because they don't want to see you aim higher than what they were able to do. And again, it's also crazy to me how old wives, people who are married, have any opinion on what single people choose to marry and how they choose to marry. That doesn't make any sense to me, but we'll talk about that in another video. NFL organizational chart. The athletes at this chart are on the bottom. They're not, you see how the organizational chart doesn't even include the athletes? What does it say? The NFL owners are at the top. The NFL executive committee, they're right here. They got 32 members, 32 alternates. Okay. So that's about a group of 70 people, just about, or about 64. Let me not rough add 64 people all together who got enough money to be at the head of the table. How much does the NFL garner and make a year? Let's go ahead and look that up because y'all don't be knowing where the money resides, okay? This is not just a mom and pop shop. This is a full on, full blown legacy corporation. How much money does the NFL make a year? $23 billion. About every year the NFL was expecting to bring home $23 billion. So it means nothing to them to pay these low level rookies hundreds of thousands of dollars, $1 million a dollar, 52 million if you're really good and we really like you. Okay. So now that I got my point across, I got y'all's attention. Okay, let's keep going. The NFL secretary, the NFL commissioner, and the NFL treasurer. They're all under the NFL executives. And then you have the public relations, the admin, you have the NFL Management Council, the finance and strategic transactions, networks, international committee, and then the marketing. And under that, you have other departments like this seems to be films and media operations, marketing, events, products, distribution, consumer marketing. What does this mean to the average person who don't know nothing about nothing, nothing to nothing? Oh, hey Rose, how are you? Hi, welcome and thank you guys for stopping by, and I appreciate y'all for being up in the morning with me while I go on another unhinged rant. But okay, I showed y'all that to show y'all this. Travis Kelce in a million years is never going to not marry Taylor Swift. Now, does that mean that he's above cheating? Is anybody above cheating? Absolutely not. We all have free will. Okay. But the likelihood of Travis Kelce doing Taylor the worst way, even being able to, is not minute but very low. The likelihood of Travis publicly embarrassing a woman like Taylor Swift also is low. due to the societal implications of him doing over a good girl. Now, you can do over one of these, ratchet, not to say ratchet. Kayla wasn't ratchet. I hate to say it like that, but sometimes just the skin color gives people ideas about things. But they don't care of you doing a low level woman, low hanging fruit the worst type of way. No one cares about that. That's not something that, a man is going to get reprimanded for by other men. Doing over a good woman, doing over his wife, yes, he will get reprimanded for. And as far as Taylor Swift is concerned, she's kind of one of America's sweethearts. She's one of those women who, even though she kind of does throw rocks, hide her hands, or whatever, she's not the most problematic celebrity you'll ever run into. And again, she's the most paid. So again, they stand so much more to gain by Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift working it out, being together. Their pricing and power together is crazy. Let me talk about this because we also got to stop talk about this too. Recently, Taylor Swift just declined the halftime performance for next year. Actually, if y'all did not know, which I thought was interesting, because first the thing you're thinking, well, what I mean, a lot of celebrities do end up inevitably turning it down, but they still at some point do end up doing the halftime performance. The fact that Taylor Swift turned down the NFL halftime performance told me a lot of different things in one. The reason why I'm pulling this up right as we speak, let me read these comments. Giving joint venture, honestly, the cross sale NFL jersey to ERA merch from both TS and TK peaked pre Super Bowl when they launched their relationship, of course. And then again, we can never forget the year that they went public, the Chiefs won that year. And part of me was so upset. I said, I knew they was going to win. I should have betted on that. I would have bet thousands. I'm not gonna lie, because I knew they were. Because I just always feel like the Super Bowl is kind of coordinated. I feel like it's orchestrated. I feel like it's like entertainment still, because I was speaking to somebody. He said technically sports are considered under the classification of entertainment still. So it can be fundled and fondled with. It can be organized to a particular degree. So blah blah blah. Yes, it's giving joint venture. Always gave joint venture, but not. I spoke about the white privilege, and I'm gonna get ready to get out of here, so I'm gonna just go ahead and go full Monty with it. No more hiding my points. The reason why Travis Kelce will 100% marry Taylor Swift, not just because she has money, not just because she's white, not just because she's blonde, but because she has all of the many things that he would need to succeed into this world. She's a total package. The good societal nobility, the financial power to hold him up as he chooses to advance within the higher society, the good enough face card so where he doesn't get stonewalled by racist white execs. Let's call it what it is. Some people are not as on the, especially on the top, especially with white people. As black people, we're a lot more tolerant of mixing. But when you go up to, um, let's say these legacy white folk, okay, that feel just as strongly about their bloodline as we do, they're not as friendly to the idea of mixing in the space, especially not half white, half black, and part Asian. Like that's kind of like that's a lot. And I mention this because it's not one thing that makes Travis Kelce, look at Taylor in one way. Let me go ahead and share my screen. It's all of it. She's a total package. And not just her being total package, they work well together. What they got going on works very well together. And that's something that people need to be honest about. And that's why Travis Kelce will 100% marry Taylor Swift. I am not a, I am not like a fortunist or anything like that. So I won't dare say that he will never cheat on her. I won't dare say he will never have a no-no book. I will dare never say that in his manest of man caves and the depths of nights, he not thinking about the darkest he can smack right about now. But what I am saying is that Travis Kelce is a smart enough man to give away all of that to be able to have the opportunity to have the buying power of $1.6 billion and be a power couple with Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift just turned down the Super Bowl halftime performance. Why? Because she wanted to spin it and say, "Oh, I'm so worried about him. He's a gladiator. He's going to be out there. He could get hurt. I want to make sure he's okay." Which, as she should. But the true tea is that the money was funny. And as y'all know, you don't get paid for halftime performances. That's something that you do for exposure. And the Super Bowl halftime committee was started by Jay-Z, aka Rockefeller. So you already know that Jay-Z ain't cutting no, Jay-Z a penny pincher too. Jay-Z another one of these money-minded men who he not tricking off and doing nothing stupid. You gonna sign NDAs, you gonna follow the structure. So Travis Kelce with Taylor Swift, he has an opportunity at structure. And with Taylor Swift, she has an opportunity to really kind of do this pop star, um, football wife life type of thing. I feel like Sierra also kind of has this paradigm, but you never see Sierra in like football mess. I always see like future supporting Sierra at these like VMA awards and stuff like that, but you never really see Sierra out on the field. Maybe she does. I ain't there. I don't know where Sierra at. But I'm just saying, like, as far as what I know, if I was someone who wanted to make a brand from being an NFL wife, I don't see Sierra play into that as much as you even see Taylor Swift trying to play into it. She's like, oh, so I don't want, I could not, I could even, I'd be too jinkies. Taylor Swift looked like she talked like that. Jinkies, I couldn't dare perform and do a two-step while my boyfriend is doing his job that he's been doing before I knew him. It's all a play. But the reason why she turned down the NFL halftime show was because they would not allow for her to own the performance. I don't know what she was trying to get copyrighted. She was trying to get it to where she could monetize something because the Super Bowl is not going to pay you. So she wanted to monetize the performance after the fact, but no, the Super Bowl is going to do that. And trust me, I know because I was reacting to um last year's Super Bowl with Kendrick Lamar, and when I tell you the NFL snatched that damn snatched, I think I was only I first of all I was only watching like a little bit of it. I would pause it, I would do the fast forward. I was doing everything to not get caught, but the NFL snatched that up. They own those performances. Once you're on that field and you are under the NFL, that is under the NFL committee. They get paid for everything having to do with that transaction. You really are only doing it for the exposure. And I'm pretty sure Taylor Swift was thinking, oh, well, I'm dating a football star. Maybe they will give me some leeway. She says her and Jay-Z have always been Jay-Z and their team, Jay-Z's team and Taylor Swift's team were very close and no official offer was put on the table. These are like what you would hear like loose dealings. It's more so like, okay, we got a rough estimate of who we want to choose and what we want to do. We want you. What could we do to get you? Okay, well, I only because Taylor Swift is again, she's one of these high-end celebrities. She's not like a Kendrick Lamar who will do it simply based off of the exposure. She's one of those people who she fuck your exposure. She can do whatever she want to do, right? So it would have to be worth her time because again, you got to do hair, makeup, costumes, learn these steps. A lot of times they want it to be show catching, eye popping. So you got to get these different little photographers, these somatics, these lights, camera, action. It's a lot. Okay, that goes into these performances that can take a toll on an artist. Michael Jackson hated touring. He hated a true professional, a legend himself hated touring because of the stress that touring has on you. So yeah, she didn't want to do that with no compensation. And she thought that maybe because she was dating, the NFL guy at the time, maybe they will chill on her some and let her at least own the after effects of what she was doing. And they wouldn't even budge for Taylor Swift, a huge artist like this. So that shows that this legacy company, they are hard in the paint. They do not play. What that shows is they aren't just handing out free checks to people. Their rules are their rules. You follow by their rules. They have a code and procedure. And what I see for them being an ambitious, young, professional couple, I see them being able to get in the graces of the higher ups and the executives of the NFL within due time. I see them if they play this long con really well, right? I see them if they keep it real clean, right, and tight. I can see them being able. I tell people around me, I can see Taylor Swift opening a Taylor Swift box in the NFL stadium. I can see it just because that's how people with power and with privilege and with affluence, that's how they move. That's how they move. So for Travis Kelce, his life simply just changed dang near basically due to who he's about to be with. And that's what's supposed to happen. In the Bible, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. This is supposed to happen. But this is why he did not marry Kayla. He would not marry Kayla. He didn't, get out there, in the paint. He doesn't have a whole bunch of kids running around. He doesn't owe nobody no back child support. Travis Kelce did not fall like these other low grade losers in the NFL or in these other athlete industries. So he's saying, for what I got, I ain't got no leftover kids. I make good money. I'm in the media. I can get this woman. And again, they have the power, the combined privileges, the white privilege, the celebrity privilege, the affluent privilege, because these people make money, money. Like you're getting contracted $52 million a year, $100 million a year in conjunction. These are multiple checks. So again, these people could come to the NFL and say anything and it'll be softer on the NFL's ears. So at the time, Travis Kelce, yeah, he may still prefer darker women, okay? He may love to be a wigger, he may love to cook out, but that's not going to stop the opportunity. He's not going to use all of his culture and my love for the BC to stop his opportunity of going up in class. So why should we as black women, okay? I say y'all should align yourselves with Travis Kelce. I don't think you should be looking at Kayla Nicole for your inspiration or Taylor Swift. Travis Kelce got it going on. It's pattern recognition. Travis Kelce has an extensive former history of building his celebrity, reality TV shows, media exposure, PR rumors with Megan Thee Stallion. Yeah, absolutely. I think I said everything I needed to say for the most part. So yeah. So why will Travis Kelce 100% go out of his way to marry Taylor Swift? And he will marry Taylor Swift. And y'all don't have to worry about not near one of your predictions coming true because he will 100% marry Taylor Swift for all the reasons that I just mentioned. This man is smart. If he was smart enough to not go through the lifestyle creep of what happens when you become a world famous NFR player, you know what I'm saying? If he was able to dodge and dip all of those little mini, you know, pitfalls that even sometimes our men can't even ignore. Our men get caught up in sexual assault cases, costly ones that cost them point 2 to 5.2 to 3.2 million dollars a year. The fact that Travis Kelce was able to keep it that smart, keep it that he hasn't had any of these issues. I 100% know that he's a smart enough guy to when he got a diamond, he gonna take that check. And I don't just see it as a straight check for him because, as I said, Taylor Swift has a lot of things to gain from being with Travis Kelce as well. You know what I'm saying? As far as just, first of all, I think, at her age, she's going to want to be married. Tired of being a girlfriend, tired about crying over dudes on all of her songs. She needs a husband. You don't want to be looking like a leftover woman. It's unfortunate, but it's true. So at this age and at this time, she's going to want to settle down, show that she's, the type of woman that can settle down. Um, and I'm also pretty sure that Taylor Swift, again, like I said, I thought she really did think she was going to be able to get them to pay her for those residuals of the NFL, and they said no. And how ambitious, affluent, long con people think, they're going to stack together, they're going to build together, and they're going to make it to where they're never not needing anything. So, how I see it, if everything goes perfect, if they're a smart enough couple, I think Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce can get married, start really overly funding to the NFL. If he stays on his P's and Q's as far as his job, she stays supporting him, she never embarrasses him either or the NFL. I can see within 5 to 10 years the executives knocking on his door and somehow offering this couple a big incentive to have them be like the main Mr. and Mrs. NFL. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like Taylor Swift has all the makings to be like, you know, first lady NFL in my opinion. And I feel like that's definitely what they're going for. People may think, "Oh, you're reaching. How do you know? You felt this through the screen." Ambitious people know when there's a play involved. And to hear that, she even was in a talks of having a having a halftime performance shows that this isn't just people making lackadaisical moves and being in love and blah blah blah. This is a orchestrated event. And I was watching another YouTuber. I think I showed her before. It was like Strawberry Lofi, and she was talking about how hypergamy is for cutthroat bitches, how it's not for the weak, the ditzy, the lackadaisical. It's not for those types of women because you have to kind of be low key cutthroat. Another thing about hypergamy is you have to be extremely organized, and you do have a lot of people who orchestrate these events. Now she was talking about Prince Harry, and I'm gonna play a little bit of her because I like her. Like I don't know, like I just like how she speaks about hypergamy, and I think it's so refreshing because it's actually something that she makes sound super attainable, but not just obtainable, realistic. So I just feel like it's super important because I'd be trying to put my girls on game, but there's only but so much I can say. But I always do my research. I always do my research. And I'm just gonna show this last ditch this last video, and then I'm out of here for the day. So if y'all got anything to say, let me know before I get out of here. Okay, so let me address a few things 'cause I don't feel like. So would this prove that rich people, affluent people tend to date on their level? Absolutely. This is 100% proves that point too. When the opportunity presented itself, yes, he was with Kayla Brown. That fit with him. He was going good. But as soon as he got a bigger opportunity, he was gonna go be with the girl with the bigger opportunity. Um, there she goes. It's not lo-fi, it's LOLI, lolly. Okay, let me just go make sure I finish all my points now that I'm done. So yes, would this low-key kind of prove that typically people with money marry into other people with money? Absolutely, 110%. I don't think I've ever said anything different. Okay, this is also the point of being a woman who can leverage your business, your own brand. Not like Kayla Nicole is not, and I don't want to keep pinning them against each other, but I'm just saying to draw conclusions and to kind of just see similarities and differences. Kayla Nicole is very well to do, college graduated, speaks nice, media trained. Okay. She's not anything to sneeze at. And I don't think that it would be hard for her to find somebody within Travis Kelce's range ever again. Now personally, if you're asking me, I think that her doing that Chris Brown dance was a little like a bit of a turn off for me. But again, I'm not no man, so I don't know what the men want to see. That may get her high value man, but to me, I would think, if I had suitors who really wanted to be with me and stuff, they wouldn't really want to see me up there with Chris Brown grinding for the whole world to see on television and video all my life. Like, that's just certain things that it's not that's not an optimal move. So I felt like in my initial video I said that Kayla Nicole may not have no suitors who are on the level of Travis Kelce because if her main pop out move was, oh, I'm gonna go dance on stage with Chris Brown and that's gonna get my groove back, that's gonna get me right back in the public eye, I'm gonna be popping after that. If that was her last Trump move, then I'm kind of worried because it's like, girl, we got to have a better Trump move than that. Yeah, no, I don't feel like that. Chris Brown dance did what. Now it was a good dance. She didn't fall off or nothing. She did what she was supposed to do. She went up there and did what she was supposed to do. But again, as far as somebody who, okay, it didn't work out, but I'm not gonna just stop here. I want to find men who are just as well to do, if not more than Travis Kelce is. I don't, to typecast yourself with a woman abuser, R&B singer who's kind of a little raunchy and ratchet, not her best move. Not her best move, but not the worst one either. Like she can recover, but it also wasn't something that I think was the flex that she probably thought it was going to be in social media realms. White people know how to build wealth and choose to keep it in the community when given options. Black folks have still not been able to understand this and wonder why some societies are in position of power. Exactly. And this is why, because it's mostly, black women who you're going to hear have all of this saying woo-sa about hypergamy, and they're treating hypergamy like it's some type of boogeyman, but it's because historically black women did not have access to hypergamy. And going further, right, the black women who did, they gatekeep their information. They didn't tell nobody nothing. So today, in today's society with these women who are giving these think pieces and telling women you got to qualify for a man and thinking and get into your age range or whatever, that's 110% true. But what their women are also negating to tell you, maybe it's because they're in their blind spot. Instead of just settling for what you qualify for now, you could sit your ass down somewhere, okay? Build up your qualifications, build up, bulk up your resume, build up who you are as a person and qualify for something way better. Or you can just privilege stack and wait till somebody who also has the same amount of privileges as you come around so y'all can take over the game. The problem with the Kayla Nicole and Travis Kelce and why truthfully it never really worked out, it was too lopsided. Travis Kelce was putting everything in. And in that relationship, if they were still together, he would be putting everything in, and that would only continue as their relationship got older. Because Kayla Brown, as beautiful as she is, as accomplished as she is, as much as she should never, compare herself to Taylor Swift, doesn't have the career advancement capabilities um, that he has access to, not just Taylor Swift. She doesn't have the advancement opportunities that Travis Kelce has access to, so it would have always been lopsided. You know what I'm saying? It would have always been lopsided. And for some men, that's okay. Some men they don't mind. They want to be the breadwinner. They want to take care. They don't want to, be up in the higher society. They don't care. They want to be, playing their role or whatever. They will be okay with this type of arrangement. But again, when we talk about money minded men, men that make some type of sense and they don't get caught up in the juice or get lost in the sauce, men like that, they're always going to make the smart move first. And the thing about back to Rose's comment, because I 100% agree with this, white people know how to build wealth. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift's kids are going to have a totally different life than a life of Kayla Brown and Travis Kelce's kids. And that's why he did it. That's why he did it. Completely different scenario. He just leveled his whole situation all the way up. Congratulations. Now he don't have to have no more 50-50 conversations. His woman a billionaire. Like, but he about to sit himself down somewhere and mind his business. And then again, you also guys got to think about it like this. Taylor Swift is such an accomplished woman. She's so impressive. Like, imagine you have a dinner with your bosses, you trying to impress the NFL committee or whatever, and then you bring Kayla Brown. Now, the NFL done seen many of bad girls with no brain and just sit up with these athletes. Taylor Swift? Oh no, you're impressing somebody when you pull up Taylor Swift to the function, to the dinner, to the gala. And that's why men do it for it. Now, I still do have some videos coming up more about hypergamy, but that's why Travis Kelce did it. All around it's a more well-rounded decision for him to be with Taylor than it would to ever be with Kayla. So does that prove that people of affluence tend to date on their level? Absolutely. But if you meet these affluent people where they're at, they gonna link up and stack privileges with you. Like that's all because that's all they care about. And you have to be able to have the looks, the mentality, the financial capital to be able to do all of these things. And that's hard for somebody who's not trained to do so. See, these other women have a culture of breeding their women for hypergamy. They train their women from young age how to walk a certain way, talk a certain way, keep their dress out a certain way, all in attempts to make them look the most desirable to well-to-do men. That's the only reason they do it. In a lot of cultures, a lot of these women are bred for hypergamy, but black women, we missed out on a lot of that education because the men were too busy deserting, leaving, getting locked up, prison industrial complex, crack epidemic. A lot of things have happened. I mean, we can name any one, but all of those things have stopped us black girls from getting the feminine education that takes it into, okay, you're just going to get a dude that's better than da da da. Yeah, people want to make this all about race, but if Kayla was white, he still would have picked the more successful, powerful white woman. Absolutely. And that's the thing that people need to get. Ain't got nothing to do with, you know, Travis Kelce preferring her in her skin tone. Like that means very little bit. And I tell y'all that the looks are only one aspect to what a man is looking for. Your temperament has to match with his, your mentality has to match with his, ambition level has to match with his. And unfortunately, Travis Kelce was way more ambitious than I think Kayla Brown was. It's very clear that he not trying to fall out like any of the low tier athletes. He's not trying to shell out $52 million in any sexual assault cases. He not falling in any of those stupid dude fall traps. So because of that, that lets me know that he's a thinker. And thinkers need to be with other thinkers. People who have money and people who like to build and make, we like to be with other people who make and move and make these types of moves too because I'm gonna talk about that later, but let me read these comments. When black athletes slash celebrities acquire wealth, not just Travis, but his whole family are mooches. Travis is playing a game and I salute him absolutely. Because, I mean, come on, who is not? I would marry Taylor Swift if I had the opportunity. If she asked me $1.6 billion, sure, bestie. Let's go out and about. And I'm gonna be for real, I've dated people who were not as ambitious as me, and that is a incompatible relationship. I don't care what anyone says. You need to match ambition levels. If you're somebody who likes to, be cozy and be fat as a cat and, you like a regular mundane life, you don't mind, getting the mailman and da da da, the gallons of milk and stuff like that, then being with somebody who is super ambitious and thinking about how to extend the family forward and always thinking about the family business and empires and stuff like that, them type of people don't clash. Them people are like oil and water. They don't stay together, and if they do get together, they don't stay together long because long term, ambitious people need to be able to see success in their ambitions and their dreams, or they're not happy. Okay, and long term, people who like to chill out, they chill. They're not about to sit here and keep sacrificing or, looking crazy to their friends or not living the peak of what they can be or whatever, being as wasteful or not paying attention to finances or whatever they want to do, right? People who want to go ahead and live life on easy mode, they're not going to be able to mix with people who are trying to study and then move on to the life of the higher society or the higher affluent, you know? So there are regular people who are on middle class to working class territory who they don't have no qualms about moving up in their life. They don't care nothing about that. But you can't then be that type of person and try to be with an ambitious type of person because y'all won't click. Low key, the Kim K of his family, yeah. And he one of that boy. Him and his brother got that podcast deal, so he's putting his family members on. I don't see this as I don't see this as a lick. 110%. I don't see that Travis is licking on Taylor Swift. I see this as a symbiotic relationship. Two people who go together nicely, pair together nicely, going to take over the world together, and no one's going to be able to stop them. And I think that people who are trying to make it seem like, you know, Taylor Swift being maybe physically insecure. She's not a baddie, so she may be insecure that he used to be with bad girls and girls who post pictures in their bikini, and she's not sexy or sensual, so she should be insecure about that. And that points to white women's overall insecurity about black women and how this proves it. I think all of those rants are like kind of grasping at straws here. You know, as a regular girl, you're gonna feel some type of way if you not a sexual freak and your dude was with all the baddest freaks. That's kind of like a. I'm gonna just be for real. I'm gonna just tell y'all what it is. It's gonna be like, that's gonna be something you think about in the back of your head. I don't care if she was a celebrity, if she wasn't. That would be something that if my homegirl said something about it, it would make sense. But because she's a celebrity, people want to have this, boo boo. We know one of your insecurities type of thing that people do online. Only online do people do this type of thing. Okay, I'm almost done, y'all. I'm gonna show y'all the video. I'm gonna still show y'all the video because I still like her stuff. I be feeling weird about showing people's stuff because you never know how things go on YouTube. But I'll show it because I really do believe. But um, overall, does this like what does it say to the average girl if you're looking to be in hypergamy or whatever? Then this is one of the pitfalls. This is one of the things that people gotta talk about. You could be, girl bossing so close to the sun that you're around people who you really don't qualify for, and then they dump you to be with their closer match. So while you're with these people, acquire and suck up as many resources as you can. I don't have no other way to say it. That way, whether they're there or not, you're still good at whatever asset you acquired through that relationship. You don't want to get stuff or like take back gifts. I don't get no take back gifts. Don't nobody ever take nothing back from me. If it was a gift, you give it to me, right? So, as far as let's say in this scenario, right? Me leaving Travis Kelce and us never having no kids together, us never being married or nothing like that, us just being girlfriend and boyfriend, I don't stand to gain a whole lot off of his name after we're no longer together. So the best thing that I could only do is make sure that whatever he gave me was given, that I was able to make the most out of what was given, and then make new moves based off of my newfound visibility based off of my previous relationship. Um, can Kayla don't gotta go to no Pookie or Ray Ray. This is not like fail on Kayla's end for hypergamy. She's still gonna be able to find a dude who's better than the average, better than y'all's boyfriends. So, I don't see her being, asked out. However, I do think that I said what I said. Like, girl, it is what it is. Like, I'm telling y'all what this stuff is. I'm telling y'all. Mm, He's definitely gonna marry that lady. He's gonna marry that lady, and he's not gonna do nothing to jeopardize that in the meantime in between time. And even if in the middle of the night he snuck into his man cave and looked at all the baddest, brownest women in the world, that would not stop that he's not going to marry one. He's not going to give one the financial comfortability or security to be able to say that they're going to be Miss NFL. So, like, being people, black women being ebony fetishes and stuff, like, it only goes but so far, girl. Like, you're not going to be able to do but so much with that ebony pass, that ebony card that y'all keep pulling out. Like, it's you can be able to do but so much when you're choosing to be sexual vessels. And that's the only thing that you think is worth anything in society. Because you have women who use themselves as sexual vessels, and that's how they acquire their men. And you have women who leverage their businesses, their name and their brand, and that's how they acquire their men. Okay. And they get two totally different treatments. And that's the difference between Kayla Brown and Taylor Swift. Not saying that Kayla Brown leverages sex, but it kind of looked like it from that, Chris Brown clip, if you ask me. I'm trying to find, well, I have it now. I probably should just type it in regular, don't y'all think? Because that's all I be doing is sitting there and not showing y'all what I said I was about to show y'all. And then I'll be like, all right, I'm gone, y'all. So the reason why I think, like I said, let's go back to what I first said in the beginning of my video. Hypergamy is going to be one of those things that it's a lone wolf type of thing. If you are a woman who you're determined that you're going to move up in class, you cannot bring none of these chicks along the ride with you. You're not going to really be able to like crip people up like they shorties under you. It's not going to be a group concerted effort. You're going to have to be cutthroat. You're going to have to be demanding. You're going to have to know what you want and never let up. Even when the outside world is telling you, "Oh, well, that's not something that you should even concern yourself with," because when you're at where you need to be at, then people will still be over there talking to people who are willing to listen. And lastly, before I show this video, I'm gonna be out of here. If y'all watch, because I started getting into the Last Airbender, Avatar: The Last Airbender, there was a episode in actually the Legend of Korra. It wasn't the last Airbender. It was Legend of Korra. And Tenzin, he got caught up in this shadow spot. Now, this is a little bit of anime, a little bit of cartoon. But in this shadow spot, people will walk around aimlessly, fighting each other. They didn't remember who they are, where they came from. They were just enamored and um, hypnotized by this fog. This fog made them forget who they were. This fog gave them bad advice and told them not to keep going in the direction that they were going to, because if they got out the fog, they would be able to see that, oh, snap, I was hypnotized by this toxic gas and I was listening to bad advice that was telling me not to leave the fog because it wanted me to get out of, I was trying to get out of the trap that the fog was trying to set into me. That's all an analogy for you can't listen to everybody when you're journeying through the unknown. Okay, sometimes you have to do the fool's journey. And that sounds crazy, but it is. You're not going to know everything. There's not going to be a statistic for everything that you're going to accomplish in life. There's not going to be a set rule book for everyone. And I'm not going to even sit here and act like I relate to the women who want a mundane life. I've never related to that. I've never grown up thinking that I was gonna have a regular husband with a regular wife and kids and a picket fence or whatever. We was always gonna be fly. So, being a grown adult and being able to say that with a little bit more confidence, and then people being like, "Oh, well, you don't qualify." It's like, no, y'all are dumb. Be careful of listening to people in the shadow realm because they don't know. And a lot of times, what people, what not so much people, because sometimes you got to start looking at people as exactly what they are. Obstacles. Sometimes certain obstacles will come in your way, not so much to stop you 100%, but just to deter you even a little bit. Because if you're foolish enough to listen to them when you already made your whole plan up of what you was going to do with your lifetime, then that's really on to you, you know? So, yeah, be careful about listening to the fog and the shadow place. You got people who they want everybody else to have the mundane life that they have, and that may be okay for them. But don't make that be your situation, girl. That may be okay for them. They might be okay. But as far as us over here, because there's a few black men too who be coming on these hypergamy conversations every so often, and they're like, "Y'all don't qualify, you baby mamas. Y'all on welfare." If we are self-admittedly so, right, the top percent, 20% of black women who they say they want what? Pretty black woman, no kids, not ghetto. They don't want to raise somebody else's kids, so they want somebody with no kids. They want, the career woman who is upwardly mobile, so they don't have to drag them along, creep them along. They don't got to worry about no gold digger. If we fit all of these little different molds, oh, it's physically attractive, so they keep their self up. We keep ourselves in a nice dress size for our man or whatever. These types of women naturally are going to be put up to the top 20 to 10% of women in the ecosystem because every woman doesn't do it and every woman doesn't do it all at the same time. Some women pick and choose the traits that they have, but every woman doesn't do all of this at the same time at a high frequency. So when a woman can keep up, that's something to look at. So Kayla, she still can get a good dude, move on, be happy, get married. She got to stop with the cheap publicity stunts though, twerking on Prince Brown and doing all that gushing and driving and stuff. It was cute, but it's not going to get you the results that you're really looking for, which is for a man to take you seriously, you not to be doing attention stunts, you to be put up. And even now, Kayla didn't build her own celebrity like she should have. Kim K only had a brief moment with Ray J and turned lemons to lemonade. Is her podcast, business venture, etc. A Chris Brown performance? Exactly. That was like I said, I felt like she was a little bit of a bird because I felt like out of the moves that you could have made, that was like the worst one. Not like the worst one, but like a move I wouldn't have made. And Kim K, like she's like literally she's one of those household names now simply off of you know being an opportunist and orchestrating certain scenarios to happen in the mainstream that she could leverage later. So yeah, once ain't gonna cut it, shaking my head. Even rappers' exes have done a better job at building their celebrity. Amber Rose, Safari, Black China, everybody, and Ari Fletcher, absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. I 100% agree. I think Kayla Nicole missed out on her opportunity to really become a staple household name. She had everybody's attention for a brief second, but she really didn't capture our attention. And that's just a personality trait. That's not something that she can really help. Okay, so this is Strawberry LOL, and she gives good game, y'all, good game.
I'm being told this is Limo Emo from Liberty Mutual, who helps save you hundreds.
So I like her because, I feel like not to down my own, or anything. I feel like sometimes when you talk into, your own community about certain things and they not 100% on it, I don't know. Like I feel like sometimes I do agree in there sometimes being an echo chamber. So I like listening to her with her different culture or whatever because it shows that yeah, women can be this cutthroat. It's just a culture that you got to be around.
Me girlies online, both the content creators and the followers. So, case in point, this whole hypergamy thing. I think 99% of the hypergamy girlies online, both the content creators and the followers, 99% of you don't even know a tenth of what it means to actually be hypergamous. It's a very, very convoluted, multifaceted game. Sometimes it takes generations, okay, for a family to be able to break into a higher social circle. Like, so for example, if your family was, we will just use like middle ages terminology. Okay, I don't know if I can get this right off the top of my head, but you know how they had the peasant class, the merchant class, and then the nobility, right? So if you're talking about like true hypergamy, you are likely talking about the scenario in which somebody who was born into the merchant class is trying to get into nobility. And if you're talking about a woman, the popular trope these days is that, oh, well, all you have to do is be pretty, be beautiful, be the most captivating woman in the room, place yourself in the path of a noble youth, a noble bachelor when he comes in town, and he'll sweep you off your feet and the rest will be history. No, it doesn't work like that. It's multifaceted, okay? You guys are taking these anomaly stories that happen and then glorifying them, deluding yourselves into thinking that it's possible for every woman. Meghan Markle, for example, you guys are twisting the entire narrative of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. First of all, Meghan Markle was never a commoner. She was already a multimillionaire, famous actress by the time that she was able to even orchestrate her meeting with Harry. By the way, it was orchestrated by her, right? It wasn't a chance encounter or she just happened to be like running in the same circles as him. It was a concerted effort to get closer and closer to his circle over a series of years. She had a whole husband and divorced that husband in the meantime early on in her social climbing journey. And then you know what happened after she married Harry? She came out saying that, I can't say the word, but she felt like she wanted to unalive herself because of all the horrible treatment that she was getting from the press, all the gaslighting and treatment from the royal family. Like, it's not all sunshine and butterflies. It's not like Cinderella where you put on the glass slipper and it fits and you guys ride off into the sunset. No, there's an entire life to be had after you get married. And you also have to take into account, do you even want to be married to a billionaire? Do you understand that if you marry into one of those families, you no longer have, I don't want to say agency, but you no longer have a say really in your life. I mean, he could be the kindest man in the beginning and promise you the world, but we all know men switch up. People switch up, okay? Feelings are fickle. Feelings of love, devotion are fickle, especially.
So I wanted to come back just to address one of the things that she said that is 100% true. None of these are chance encounters, and that's 100% that people miss out on. And that's kind of what the gatekeeping part of this hypergamy conversation is being dishonest about. These are not chance encounters of you running into somebody. There have been regular girls, and I'll talk about that in my next hypergamy live stream, whatever. But there have been girls who, had a regular job, regular life, was just that beautiful, got, girlfriend, and will subsequently be wived up sooner rather than later, right? A lot of these scenarios that you see are PR stunts, like she said, orchestrated. collaborating. These are concerted efforts by these celebrities, by these people to click up and stack privileges together. You know what I'm saying? So it's not so much of an unintentional, oh, we're hypergamous. Oh my God, how did that happen? It's not one of those. You know what I'm saying? So that's another thing that people need to understand too. If you're serious about this lifestyle or if this is seriously an aspiration, then yeah, you're really gonna have to get in the field and really learn about what it is that you're interested in doing because it will never be by chance. It'll always be super intentional, especially when you're talking about the finance variety. People who are super serious about their finances, they are super intentional people, people who have a allocation for everything. Okay? So I wanted to speak about that. The best thing to do as a commoner, quote unquote, so on so make very good investments prior to you even meeting or having these people. That way you have something to leverage even on your own back end. So even if, let's say, you get dropped like a bad potato, you still have your investment properties, you're still going back and living your regular life, and there shouldn't be such a stark lifestyle difference to where you feel you know, levels of sorrow. I also think that does happen when you move too fast. And that is why I always say you have to be more than just pretty. I've been saying this. So now all of a sudden we want to steal, the talking points because, we don't fit. You have to be more than just pretty. I've always said these men are sizing you up for your mentality. If you're a bird brain who don't got nothing but two pennies to rub together, you're going to get treated as such. You know what I'm saying? And if you walk around acting as such, not paying attention to the higher society, not looking at the bigger moves, not investing or having any, like, being more than responsible, being successful, you know what I'm saying? And then wanting to coordinate that success to make you more success. Okay? People who are on this type of track, okay, they rarely ever get caught off guard with the likes of daily life things that the mundane get caught up in. And I don't want to get too much into it because I don't have anything against mundane life. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that most people assume that that's everyone's goal is the white picket fence and then the charters and the horses. And a lot of what this hypergamy is talking about is building the access not just to generational wealth because that's a little been overused as a word. The generational wealth aspect talks about passing down money to your lineage, having enough excess financially that your lineage can benefit off that excess. You see what I'm saying? The mindset that people who do these types of things make enough money for their lineage to be rich off of rarely ever do anything by chance, by love, or by what they qualify for, you know? So beware of that as well. Let's see.
Actually, if you come from that type of wealth or that type of a status, it's drilled into you from when you're very young. This is the order in which you should consider things priority wise when you're born into extreme wealth. Okay, first of all, family reputation, your social standing, your family assets. That's the first priority for you to guard that. It's a collective understanding between everyone in the firm, is what they call themselves in the royal family, right? But everyone in the family or whoever is in the network of that particular pocket of wealth, things like love, devotion to one's partner, doing right by one's partner, that comes like way, way, way down at the bottom of a whole list of top priorities that have nothing to do with loyalty to some peasant girl or some girl from a humble beginning that thought she would try to give this hypergamy thing a go, and that all she had to do was meet one of these oligarchs or billionaires to have the rest of her life be doing yoga and Pilates and sitting on a yacht. Like, no, it's an entirely different way of thinking, way of being. These people could have you unalived if they decide that they don't like you anymore, or they don't want you in the family anymore. If you're lucky, they might ask you to just go peacefully, right? Try to hand you a little envelope with a check stuffed in it. Like, if you go away quietly, you can have this $5 million or whatever, right? If you're lucky, they'll try to handle it amicably like that. If you're not, or if you're uncooperative, they have the resources and the connections to get rid of you without a trace and without any record of foul play.
Board the plane now.
No, I'm not doing that.
You are getting on this plane, and you are getting divorced. Yeah, we're gonna get a fucking divorce, but first I'm getting a lawyer, then I'm gonna sue Yvonne and you, and I'm gonna walk away with fucking half because I didn't sign a prenup.
Do that, and you'll lose everything. Any money you may have, although I doubt you have much, will be gone. Do you have a house? Do you have a car? All gone. Your life and lives of your family and friends, everything will be destroyed.
Do we need to be reminded of what happened to Princess Diana? I mean, that's Harry's mother, right? The prince, I don't know if Harry is considered a prince, or I mean, he's a prince, right? But then William is next of kin for the king. Anyway, that's their mother. Even though she was not of royal blood, she's still related to the royal family by proxy of her sons, and even she was not able to escape the wrath of the royal family. But think about all the girls out there who are not in such an advantageous position financially. In fact, that's probably one of the bigger driving factors for why they are drawn to hypergamy content in the first place, is because they want to buy into this fantasy. They want to so desperately believe that it's actually attainable to just like go out to some random high-end bar one day and meet a billionaire, and poof, with the wave of a wand, he's going to make all your money problems disappear. He's going to give you a free business. Like, it's not to say that it doesn't happen, but the probability is still low. It's a numbers game, right? It's likely not going to happen exactly that way for you. Yes, of course, you can meet someone generous, maybe someone who makes more money than you or has more experience in business than you. For me, that is a much more realistic way of looking at it. Like, for me personally, I would rather go at it from the angle of, okay, first, I just want to network, right? So you never want to give off, like, it's not so the desired man, or kind of like the goal that a lot of modern hypergamy channels on TikTok are pushing these days, is actually only talking about a very small subset of all of the actual. It's not talking about like the top 1% of the 1% wealthy in the world. They're talking about, like, for example, new money, like tech billionaires or something, right? Bitcoin, AI, robotics, men who have made their fortunes in Silicon Valley, or something like that. Like, it's a very limited group of people that these hypergamy girlies, I'm just going to call them girlies because I don't want to use the word coach. That I don't believe that that's what they truly are. To them, it seems like, okay, yeah, that's.
And this is something that I was speaking about on my channel prior. Now, again, I be putting so much of my videos in my membership. If you want 100 full percent unadulterated tea, this is where it'll be at. Because, some of the other stuff I'll be like, that's too hot. I can't keep that out there. You know what I'm saying? But I was saying that, and I got a little bit of pushback, a little bit. I got some responses. Somebody even said, name 10 salaries that make over, six figures, right? You know what I'm saying? As if I can, as a grown adult, name the amount of careers that someone may be able to breach the threshold of $100,000. Yes, okay. Doctors, nurses can be one of them. High level nurses on the RN point of view or a nurse practitioner point of view can make well beyond that. If you're very smart with your investments, or hell, you can have regular, I wouldn't say regular jobs, mid level, your average practice manager to vice president of any healthcare organization ever, more than likely touch 100K. And that's more than 10 positions in one industry at a time. But, we can keep going and keep going. There are there's money out there. I don't know how to say it. Like, there's lots of money out there. When people, I remember watching, like, before it was level up content, I think it was like Love Your Natural, like, so a little bit of pre-level up content, like us getting money phase, baby money phase, right? In the baby money phase, people will say all the time, there's so much money out here. People just don't know how much money is out here. And they would say that almost to make it sounded like a multi-level marketing scheme to me. When everybody would always just be screaming, there's so much money out here. But when you see the many different industries that are actually created for our well being, that there is an endless number of careers, an endless number of opportunities for the right person who has the right qualifications, then you would understand that process entirely. Like, you would literally get it. And it just started making sense to me over the I'd say last month or so, that when those people were saying that there's a lot of money out here in this world, they were not joking. And that is not just to say that you can get some, like I've been saying, everybody keep thinking about this white collar, tech guy who sits behind, or this Wall Street, pushback brow badness guy, and they think that that's the only source of wealth. So they ignore the wealth in their communities every single day. And it literally boggles my mind because it's people who don't have money. You should be looking at how to get some money, right? If you cannot say that you were born into any family of nobility, nobody gave you a silver spoon in your mouth, no one sat there and at the average back in the day, boomers could relate to their parents paying for their college. That was like a regular occurrence. If you can't even say that that is something that you've heard, which I can't say, then that means that you are not within the class that your bloodline has generated so much money that they were able to pass some off to you to live off of. So again, you should be very acutely aware of where opportunities are at any given moment when you are coming from a lot. But that's not how it works. It sounds like that, but that's not truly how it works. If that was true, the education system wouldn't be a thing. And I feel like that 110%. You have a lot of educators, professors touching that type of money. You have salespeople who I met a guy, and I was just working as some gym attendant. I'm not gonna act like I was had some high up position. No, I was working it was my second job. I was a gym attendant, and he stopped by and he was saying, I traveled the world. I lived in Japan, Germany, and this was some older middle-aged white guy, and he sold the surgical tech for different doctors, and he went from country to country and did that. Give me a quick second. And he was encouraging me to get into the business too. And he said, like, it's a career that people don't even. I was like, I never even heard of a job like that, sir. And he's like, yes, we sell medical devices. We go from place to place, people to people, and we go and I travel and I love the world and da da da. And that was a man that I've met. And the thing is, people don't know this because nobody in the higher society recognizes you as compatible equal. And I'm going to tell you why you don't experience these types of things. No one in the higher society recognizes your mentality and sees you as somebody that is either equal or could be under the next generation if given a little bit of help. So usually you don't get this type of good game on the sidelines at all, you know? It's the same thing when there's a gifted kid in class and then the teacher, even though the teacher cares for all the students adequately, she understands that the one gifted student needs a little bit more than the other kids due to the specific care and specific needs of the intelligent student. And I said all this to say this. The reason why y'all don't know about all this money out here in these streets, the reason why y'all don't know about these positions, you're not meeting these people who are meeting you are probably not telling you parts of their lives and giving you guys good game like that, is because they don't recognize you as a mental match for them. So you would never understand the way that I'm thinking right now because you're not a part of the class. And it's not just about money, because you have people who are rich doofuses who never get into this either. You know, it's one thing for a rich person to pull you aside and try to give you some good game. Now, no rich person's not going to help you, but you know, give you some oral, wisdom to swim. Absolutely. So that's why, it's always been damning to me because a lot of these women who get discouraged or they're discouraging other women talking about hypergamy is because not only have they made their choice and they have to lie in it, whatever position their man is, whatever job he got, they stuck with that. That's their choice, right? So being dishonest intellectually, so they don't want to tell women that you can make even better coochie decisions by way of getting even better men in your dating pool by way of this hypergamy tool that we're talking about right now. So that's why it's all important. And I said I was only gonna stay here on here for 30 minutes, but I have to make sure that I get everything out because y'all have to understand why it's not happening. So there's lots of money out here in these streets. People are doing all types of things to build wealth. And no, it's not every day that you get pulled into a random close circle and stay there. But what does happen is during your baby money phase and your level up phase, and you get continue, you build yourself enough smarts, enough knowledge, enough assets to be able to be compatible matches, not just so much so, oh, I'm finessing and tricking and getting someone else some money, right? Not that type of mentality at all. We're not talking about the gold digger mentality. We're not gold diggers here over here on this side of the tracks. At least I don't consider myself a gold digger. I wouldn't think that. I think that's a low level way of thinking about it. So, because we're not coming from a gold digger mentality about things, it's more so about being a match for the higher society rather than robbing the higher society blind like some, vigilante Robin Hood. You know what I'm saying? So I say that to say this. I'm sorry I'm coughing, y'all. I know don't nobody want to hear that all the way. I've been trying to mute my mic, but it just, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. So yeah. So that's why I've said what I said. I mean what I mean, and I will continue to talk about hypergamy as a staple, but it will have to go underground because this is not something that everyone's going to be able to relate to. This is also a topic that does put a target on my back as a woman because you have men who don't want me to date up in class, and you have women who also don't want me to date up in class. And that is the truth for the poverty class, the impoverished class. The impoverished class has to deal with that reality. And my thing is, y'all already know what poor people go through. What's the deal of trying to be on the other side for once? Not saying to idolize the love of money because that can get pretty bad too, but y'all know the poor people's perspective. And anytime, SHIT always goes downhill. We know whenever there's any major, disruptions within politics, peace, or environment, the poor people are always the first to get affected. We know that impoverished people have bad households, worse off family structures, have worse things happen to them as a result. We know all of the implications that come with being a, impoverished to low level, mid level person. And being a mid-level person doesn't save you either. You can hold down a job and still come across hardship. So again, the only thing you really could do as a result is eliminate hardship. And to eliminate hardship is to create an excess in resources, an overflow of resources to the point where your bloodline can benefit. And if you're not thinking like that, you're thinking about today, maybe getting your one kid through college and next year's vacation. When you're thinking in the next like couple months to a year from now, you're never going to be on the mentality of people who are thinking light years ahead of you. You got people thinking about their grandkids right now, and you're trying to sit here and hold up your mentality to people who are thinking about what their grandkids' kids is going to have in their stock portfolio. Do you understand how you so do not qualify or so do not connect with the people that you're trying to tell other people not to connect with when we have more in common with them than we do with you? What are we going to talk to y'all regular people about? Just asking. Because the things that I'm talking about right now actually interest me as far as like a financial point of view. So I'm just saying, y'all be wanting to kill women in their ambition. A lot of people, and again, like I said, watch Strawberry LOLI. I like her. I like her channel, and I'm telling y'all, this is some good game. And the thing is, she's slightly older, so that's a good thing. Like, I'm never gonna sit here and tell y'all that I got it all figured out. This is aspirational, absolutely. So part of it being aspirational is going trial error. You bump, you bruise. Sometimes you go through little things. But one thing I will never do is let you low grade bums, because that's what it is. Some of it. Ever tell specifically me, but especially my sector, what they qualify for. As long as you're under the protection of the strategic feminine, girl, you qualify for whatever you want. As long as you make sure that your mentality matches what you want. Okay. So yeah, again, it's not going to be by chance encounters. Be realistic too. Like, you don't have to go all the way up to Rothschild. I don't know why people think that. People think when you say, "Oh, I want to be hypergamous," that you're about to storm the White House. No. It can be somewhere within your regular class, your regular everyday life that still makes you comfortable. I see this. And the thing is, I see this with other races of women so easily that when I try to point this out to black women and they're like, "Nuh-uh," it makes me so irritated. And that's why I kind of have to step out of sometimes the black community to have these type of conversations. Because every time you talk to black women, oh, well, other women, they're having like their way. They have men with high prestiges and they just met them in high school. Nuh-uh. You got to qualify for one of those director men. Mm-mm, I'm not telling you. I'm telling you that's not the truth. I'm telling you from experience. It's people who are meeting people who are getting around folks, people who actually feel comfortable enough to talk to me about their money problems, or lack thereof of money problems. Let's say that too. Mm, girl, no. Girl, no. People who say stuff like that or they make it seem like, oh, that's way over there and we'll never be able to qualify, those are usually those never ever people. And you never ever listen to never ever people because they will sit there and have you walking in the forgotten forest and rain, telling you nuh-uh, but never giving you the answer to uh-huh or what you can do. So that's why I always tell y'all stop listening to people with no solutions, okay? Stop listening to people with no solutions. I always tell y'all in these scenarios. So, yes, marrying into the high society, it is not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. It is not for every regular, degular chick out there. It will not happen to everyone and a mama. But being smarter with a coochie, making better coochie decisions, being regular, degular, you know what I'm saying? And making just good, regular decisions can save you from, a lot of heartache. And if you happen to be somebody who you're trying to nurture your goals into putting your family up, like really putting yourself up, like past, oh, I'm gonna buy my mama a house. Like every hood, old head, their thought of making it was, oh, I'm gonna buy my mama a house. Like, but like going a little bit past that mentality, but still on the money, right? Thinking like that, I think that it's important that like-minded people come together. I don't think that hypergamy should only happen. I think hypergamy should happen anywhere that you are. Wherever you are, it can happen for you. You definitely just have to be analytical about these types of things. And if it's not something that matches, happily leave people alone who just don't match your mentality. I think it's pretty easy. I'm pretty much done though. I've said what I had to say. She just tied it up so much for a bow for me. I remember watching House of Hammers, which was a documentary of Army Hammer's lineage and the wives of his patriarchy lineage were treated the same. Yeah, and back in the dynasty China, they had concubines who acted under legal wives, and there was different treatment hierarchies too. So, there it's not all it's nothing new under the sun, but it's also not all sunshine and rainbows. I think that people need to be more realistic about the choices that they're making out here. Um, and I think that if adults were more comfortable having the hard conversations first, I think that we would be in a better position. I don't think there would be so many viral topics of, homosexuals running around and women getting got, played out of their drawers in their house or whatever. I just think that some of those things are a bit extra. And when I say hypergamy stops you from all of those little things, y'all look at me like I'm crazy. But lastly, it is possible. I think it's very possible. But you have to be very intentional, and you cannot be within the general population class making these mistakes like Travis Kelce. Going back to Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce, the only reason he was able to make that transition between Kayla Brown and Taylor Swift was because he had no baggage holding him back whatsoever. He didn't have no kids with her. He didn't have no marriage with her. He probably was barely paying for an apartment. So when it was time for him to skedaddle and get out of there, he was gone. But the problem with people, and the reason why they're never able to experience what I'm talking about right now with such clarity, is because they get with people really super, super, super quick, y'all. It's almost like a whirlwind romance. They get with people super, super quick, lock in, make all these super big moves, sign on the dotted line, get married on paper at the courthouse, have babies with folks they barely know for 6 months. And then when a better option comes along, they caught up because they already got babies, they already got bills tied up in both the folks' name. They already have baggage tying them to another person, making a clean break for a new, fresh relationship impossible. So the only way that you're going to be able to explore your options like a Travis Kelce is for you to not have baggage out here with regular average people. You need to be able to bounce when it's time to bounce. And you're not going to be able to bounce if you have babies with people out the way. You're not going to be able to balance if you're marrying every Tom, Dick, and Harry and giving him a baby, or as some people like to call it, a souvenir of his time with you. People who move like that, they will never get to experience what I'm talking about. So that's why they'll be like, nuh-uh, nuh-uh. Well, yeah, girl, nuh-uh for you. We're not talking to you. Okay, I think that was it. I think I'm done. I love my YouTube channel. Like, I just be on here having so much fun. The generational poverty in the black community keeps going like a trademark. Yes, they don't care. They don't care because as long as they can live today, it don't matter. And black people, I don't want to get into a black fatigue rant because this is not this, but black people have a bad habit of going their whole lives buying their babies nothing but, Doritos and baby Jordans. And they think that that's all it takes to be a good parent, to say that you did what you could for your child. And I feel like that's okay. You can do what you can. Everybody, and I used to be of the mindset that, and I think this was a little cruel. Back in the day, I used to think that poor people should not have kids. And I realized how cruel that is in retrospect. If that was actually to be passed, like as a law or something, that would be absolutely terrible. If you can give the kids love and nourishment and love, like you should be able to have your children. And I would never come on here to say that because there's worse things you can be in life than poor. Like you got to be able to be an adult about things. You can be worse things than poor. The worst thing about being poor is that you have to work, and working is not that bad. So, it's like a non-factor struggle, but it kind of is, right? What was I talking about? I just went on and on until I just didn't even know what I was talking about no more. But yeah, so there's worse in this life to be but that than poor. But if you have the choices to do better, do better. But yeah, black people they think they can just buy their kids Jordans, okay, keep them the freshest in school, crimp them up, and that they did their job as a parent. And I think that as the new generation, we should say, nah, all right, we should be giving our kids some trust funds, okay, maybe a little bit more than a college fund. Maybe not a college fund because I feel like college is, college maybe, trade definitely, but we should definitely be having more investment into our kids going forward. But I think black kids, there's this one Dr. Jess on YouTube. She's like a dentist. She invests in her kids. She does content. She braids kids' hair for free. And she says she got her kids on payroll. And she's married to another black doctor. They're two black doctors, and they're a black family. She's a dark skinned woman. Her name is Dr. Jess. She's a dentist, and she's able to build this generational wealth because she has smart mating decisions. She got a nice kids, nice husband, and they did it the right way and they didn't jump the gun. You know what I'm saying? So that is what you can do. That is the life you can live if you make good decisions in the meantime. So the best thing for average, regular, everyday women like Kayla and Nicole to do is don't create any bad baggage while you're out and about and single. That's the only way to literally cut your options in half. As a single woman who qualifies, you should be able to say the world is your oyster and know that with confidence. So also worry about being a total package. Stop picking and choosing little different privileges that you can associate with. Be the full damn course. Okay? Stop picking and choosing. I get tired of people doing that. Stop picking and choosing. Privilege is not going to save you. One ism, one thing will never save you. You got majority of people cashing in, going full on in on multiple things. So those are the things that you should think about while you're aspiring. I'm sorry, while you're aspirationing for hypergamy. It's not a money over everything and mentality. It really is a linking up with like-minded people mentality. I think that's something that should be understood overall. Okay, thank you so much for listening to my rant, my spiel. I was on here for 2 hours and I did not mean to. I always do this. I always do this. But y'all know when I get a point, I have to make it. So y'all can always tell me what y'all think in the comment section. If y'all agree or disagree, I always tell y'all be good people, be holy people, read the word and spread the word. But I'll be back in my next video. Bye.